What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Check Swing Podcast with myself, and of course, the brains and brawn of the situation. My man, Coach Santa, is over there
Baltimore having big fun.
down in Baltimore, having big fun and seeing some crazy things on his travels on a day-to-day basis down in Baltimore. Um, but that's neither here nor there. Just if you ever been to Baltimore or know people from Baltimore, then you just know. If you know, you know. But welcome back to the Check Swing Podcast. It is Wednesday, 9 o'clock. We are live. Welcome back, and thank you for joining us. We have quite a few things we're going to talk about today, but before I get into it, I like to ask my people. I like to know how they've been for the past week or so since we last came together and enjoyed ourselves in a positive sports-filled podcast, radio show, video show situation thing. But with that being said, Miguel, how you been?
That was a lot of words.
Yeah, much fluff.
I hear you. I hear you. I'm gonna tell you what. It's been busy between work and some other things, but probably the best headspace I've been in quite some time. So um, it's mostly sunny with a chance of chocolate.
I'm gonna leave that alone. I'm gonna leave that alone because I probably know what you're talking about, but I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm just gonna leave it alone. Um, well, with that being said, it's been an interesting week
Hmm.
in Philadelphia. Okay, it's been an interesting week. Um, well, actually, it's been an interesting few days. Interesting few days because the Eagles won on Sunday, right? And a lot of people feel like they looked impressive in the win. I'm not one. I don't really. I'm not one of those people. We can get into that in a minute, but we saw something that we hadn't seen this year as fans. We saw the team rely on Jalen's arm. Um, I believe he threw for 200, 300 something yards on
300
Sunday.
plus yards. Third, third,
Uh,
third time in Eagles history. There was a perfect QB rating.
you said third time.
Mm-hmm. In
Who were
Eagles
the
history.
last two times? Was he one of them before?
One of them was Nick Foles when he threw that 7 touchdown game against the Raiders, and I don't remember who the other one. It might have actually been McNabb. I'll find out.
Could have been
Although
Wentz. When Wentz was here, Wentz was pretty good.
I hope it wasn't.
When Wentz was here, Wentz was pretty good. There's no denying that. MVP candidate at the time. Probably still should have won the MVP, but he was in the league at the time when guys like Tom Brady were still around, Patrick Mahomes. Actually, I don't even think Patrick Mahomes. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Um, and then Jalen should have won, but Patrick Mahomes was in the league. He got hurt. It's kind of the same deal. Anyway, back to the lecture at hand. Jalen Hurts threw for what? 3 touchdowns? Was it
Yes,
3 or 4? It was 3.
it was 3.
Three for threw for 3 touchdowns. You had with 2 to Devontae, 1 to AJ, I believe it was.
Yes. No, yeah, two. No, reverse that. 2 to AJ, 1 to Devontae.
2 to AJ, 1 to Devontae. Thank you.
And
Um,
and and for the record, Donovan McNabb did it first. He did it in 2007, and I remember that game. That was the game no, it wasn't at the vet. Never mind. I was thinking it was the game where he broke his ankle and threw like 4 touchdowns on one foot, but that was
oh,
actually at the vet. But yeah, it was 2007. He had a perfect rating. I can't. It didn't list the game, and then Nick Foles did it in 2013.
okay. So 3 times in Eagle history, and they all came in our time. Of course, I don't think they were keeping QBRs in the 70s and 80s and 60s, but
No,
they could probably go back and They could probably go back and get those stats if they wanted to. But the question is, did Hurts shut the naysayers up? Did Jalen Hurts shut up the naysayers with his performance on Sunday? I, for one, will tell you, no, he didn't, and it's unfortunate, but he did not. And I'm only basing that off of listening to sports radio here in Philadelphia over the last few days. The naysayers are still there. Um, they were happy. I will say they were happy to see what they were seeing, but the fact that it hasn't been consistent over the past few years, has people in doubt. Miguel, do you think that game was enough? The game Jalen Hurts had was enough to shut the naysayers up?
Well, it's funny because on paper it should have, because I believe the Vikings, if I'm not mistaken, were one of the number one teams against the pass, and for him to do that, you know what I mean. Um, I think the bigger issue is what's going on with the line and Saquon. I think that's the bigger issue at hand. Um, but I think it's still. I mean,
And I,
every
I feel like you should change that in a little bit, Miguel. I know what you're saying,
Mhm,
and I want to be clear what you're saying. It's more so the line, right? You kind of want to know what's going on with the line, and
mhm.
Saquon is a result of what's going on with the line, right?
Well, I mean, if you ask Saquon Barkley, he's actually taking the whole load. He's putting it on himself.
And that's who
Um,
he is.
that's who he is. Yeah, yeah, you got to. But yeah, I think the offensive line is the biggest issue. But even with that, he was still able to, Hurts was still able to throw for 3 touchdowns and you know engineer the drives that were needed to keep us in the game. But yeah, I think that's the bigger issue. I think Hertz is going to always have the naysayers as long as he keeps having those up and down games, the inconsistency. Um, I don't know that I don't even know if him winning another Super Bowl would help negate the naysayers, because I think there were naysayers after Brady won his first 2 or 3 Super Bowls. They called him what a game manager, and he doesn't really do much of the ball. He's slow, da 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 da. But it's like, but he wins.
He's
At
he
what point?
managed his entire
At,
career.
at, at what point is it going to be simply about the winning versus the losing?
And I like what you said right there. At what point is it about the winning versus the losing? Um, you know what I think has a big what's the word I'm looking for? A big factor in that is was it 2022? Was it 2022, 2023? What
The
was it? The
Super
year
Bowl year,
that started off 10-1 and then ended up like 11 and
I think
6.
that was 23, because I think that was the
23.
year we lost to Tampa Bay.
Yes. The year we
Mhm.
lost to Tampa Bay. And it wasn't even Tom Brady's Tampa Bay, right? Wasn't it? It was because we lost to Tom Brady's Tampa Bay before we went to the Super Bowl.
And then we lost to
Uh,
Bradford, or not
yeah, I can't think of his
that
name.
guy.
He's still the quarterback right now. I don't know why I can't think of his name right now. But that year they started off 10-1. They ended up winning one more game after that. Um, and in that year, and we said it on this show, they're winning, but they're basically winning in spite of themselves. They're winning, but you know that what they were doing was not going to be sustainable. They were winning, but they were doing it in a way where you could point to one or two things and say, yeah, if that didn't happen, or if that call didn't get made, or if that didn't get made, the record could have been totally different. And you can even say the same things about this season right now. And I think that's the factor that's keeping people in that naysayer mode, Miguel. I think the recent history is too recent. I think it's too recent for people to like really let that go. It's probably the same for me because we said on the show this season it looks eerily similar to that year. They were winning games, but it looked very similar to that year. Go ahead.
I don't know. To me, it's still. I mean, if I had to pick between the two seasons, I think I'd choose this one because there were moments where we were just like there were quarters where we were just absolutely lost. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know that it's necessarily that we're lost. I think it's a combination of Jalen Carter's out of shape. We still haven't found replacements for Slay and for CJGJ. Um, but this is why I'm confident, though, between this team and the last team. The last team did not have Fangio. And I think the reason why there's this mixture of like it doesn't feel like what do they keep saying in media that they haven't found their like zhuzh, they haven't found who they are, what their character is,
Their identity.
their identity. It's like because I don't think any teams in the NFL get to their identity to like week 10 or 11, and that's because you have fewer preseason games. The first couple of games are usually like they're getting the rust off. They're getting used to playing a full 60-minute game.
Mhm.
Um, and I think that's what's happening with the Eagles. And people forget this is now what the Eagles' fourth or fifth defense offensive coordinator. Um, so you have the personality of the new coordinator, then the actual play calling of the new coordinator, and you got the egos of the of AJ Brown, and you know what I mean. So it's a lot to kind of nail down and again get that consistency. And I think this Sunday was very promising. This past Sunday was promising. I still think the bigger issue is the offensive line.
Here's what I will say about this past Sunday, and then we'll move on. Um, this past Sunday, three things stood out to me. Cooper DeJean is good.
Mm-hmm.
Cooper DeJean is very good. I was scared that he was going to be Jason Sehorn.
Mm.
And yes, race is a factor in that thought process. I'll be honest, because what else would it be? He's better than Jason Sehorn. Um, Number two, Jalen Hurts can distribute the ball when needed to. That stood out to me. That was something I already knew, but it was just something that stood out because it doesn't happen that often. Number three was Carson Wentz really fell off since
Yeah,
that 2017 year with us with the Eagles. He
I,
really fell off.
I'm telling you, it was that concussion he got when he got nailed to the ground by I can't remember.
Oh, the guy out of South Carolina.
Yeah, he was on the
Yeah,
Jaguars.
playoff
Or,
game.
yeah,
Yeah, Jadavian Clowney.
it's David Clown, right? He's on the Cowboys now, isn't he? Then they signed him to
I
replace Micah
believe,
Parsons.
I believe, I believe you're right. I'm not
Yeah.
sure. I'm not positive on it, but I think you're right.
So yeah, ever since that hit, I think above everything else because that ever since that hit, that's when he started losing the wide open, crossing pattern or the person you throw down to. Like he was just never the same after that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, now I believe that wasn't his last playoff game, but
That wasn't his last playoff game as a player,
as a starter.
as a starter. Excuse me,
Yeah.
as a participant on the field.
Mhm.
It was, I believe, it was his last. I believe it was not his last playoff game because hell, he went to Super Bowl last year with the Chiefs.
Right.
and I think he was on a couple other teams. I believe he was on Washington last year, wasn't he?
Or the year before, yeah.
Year before because he played. Jaden Daniels played all year last year.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, those three things really stood out to me, and I feel like if Carson Wentz played a lot better, Jalen Hurts' performance, his great performance from Sunday, would have kind of flown under the radar because the Eagles would have lost the game. Because there were many situations where if Carson Wentz makes the play, that game probably ends up different. And I'm not saying that to say the Eagles got lucky or anything like that. I'm just saying that he had his opportunities and didn't capitalize on them. And that's what you want. In turn, that makes me feel like our defense needs some help. Like you said, the the defensive backs, the cornerbacks, say we need some help over there. Um, and we needed some help on the edge, defensive line, and we got that help. I guess maybe we'll kind of see with Brandon Graham, BG, coming back to the Eagles, coming out of retirement.
Unretired.
Kind of like the worst kept secret in Philadelphia over the last couple weeks, or over the last week since um, what's my man's name? Zadarius Smith retired, announced his
Mhm.
sudden retirement. It's probably like the worst kept secret in Philadelphia. I can remember one person saying you think Brandon Graham's available? And they was like, no, Brandon Graham, he's retired. He's probably not kept shelf and shit, whatever, whatever. Then next thing you know, Adam Schefter is breaking the news. Yeah, they're going to sign Brandon Graham. They're going to bring him back. Miguel, my question
Mhm.
to you about Brandon Graham, is this the right move for the Eagles, bringing in Brandon Graham? And
My
give me whatever factors you believe that where it is the reasons why it would be the right or wrong move.
well, I think it's the right move because it's really the only move.
Mm.
um, because Adarius gave you something that kind of surprised everybody, gave you some consistency on the edge. And then like how do you replace that? It's like the next best thing you would think would be a Brandon Graham, but um is he the like what version of Brandon Graham are we getting? Because we all remember that he had the injury for the majority of last year and then returned for the Super Bowl. Did was a factor, a little bit of a factor.
And
But the
don't forget,
defensive
he re-injured that
and he
injury.
re-injured. Yes, that is correct. He did re-injure. Stayed in the game though.
Stayed in the game.
Um,
He wasn't coming out that game.
yeah, he wasn't coming out that game. So it's like, what version of Brandon Graham are we getting? I think it's an incomplete question because you have to see how he does over time. Because you don't
Yeah,
know what.
go ahead.
No, you don't know what you're gonna, which version of him you're gonna get.
Yeah, absolutely right. Are you going to get? I think people are expecting the been to camp every year, been in the preseason every year, been in every game this week. I mean this year and every practice during the week and all like that. I feel like people are automatically expecting that Brandon Graham. He's been out of the game for 9 months directly. Um, what my hope is that he is effective. Here's what I will say. Here's what I'm excited about, and I'm going to make a comparison a little. I'm going to make a comparison with the Sixers on this that I kind of just thought about today before the show started. See, are you shaking your head already?
Cause
You're shaking your head already. So
Sixers,
hear
we
me
gotta
out.
get Sixers plug
Hear
in
me out.
here.
Listen, I love the Sixers like you love the Phillies. You're a Phillies apologist. I'm a Sixers
I'm
apologist.
not a Phillies apologist.
The only way you're not a Phillies apologist is when you talk about trading some of the best players. But you do that with every team except for the
Thank
Eagles.
you.
You haven't done that with the Eagles yet.
I'm getting there.
So what I'm excited about for Brandon Graham is Brandon Graham coming back to the team is his leadership as a veteran.
Yeah.
That's what I am hoping the biggest effect is made. Um, maybe if Brandon Graham was still on the team, maybe Jalen Carter plays in that first week instead of getting booted before he even takes a snap. We don't know, but maybe. Um, there may be a lot of things to do. I look around that defense. I'm like, man, that's a very young defense. There's not a lot of veteran leadership on that defense. When you think about it, you got Zach Bond, but he's been. This is his second year playing linebacker. This is his second year as a starter on the defense in the NFL. You got DeJean, second year in the league. Mitchell, second year in the league. Blankenship, like his fourth year in the league or something like that. And then you got the defensive line that a lot of guys that are second, third year in the league, maybe four. There's not a lot of veteran leadership. Now, here's my comparison with the Sixers. You ready? Here you go. I was thinking about what you said, what you usually say, or what you have said about like Joel Embiid being immature,
Mhm.
right? And I've never disagreed with you on that. Um, and then I thought about it because I used to always talk about before the Joel Embiid era, when the Sixers were, I guess, processing. Um, they didn't have any veteran leadership, right?
Mhm.
But they were in the process. Veterans didn't want to be there. And then you get your draft picks, your Jalil Okafors, your Nerlens Noels, your Joel Embiid's, your Ben Simmons, your what's my man's name? I forgot how to shoot. He went to Orlando. I can't think of his name right now, but he was a guard. He was like a number one pick that the Sixers picked. There was no real veteran leadership at that time, right? And I thought about what you said about the maturity, and I was like, Joel Embiid, and we've talked about it. Like there was no like Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid got to do whatever they wanted because there was nobody to tell them otherwise. And I was thinking about it today. Like Joel Embiid is the old head on the Sixers now, and he's got to play that role of telling these young guys, "Look, this is the mistake I made. You may not want to. These are the things I did, but there was nobody there to tell Embiid that. There was no one there to tell Ben Simmons. I don't think Ben Simmons would have listened anyway. But there was no one there for that process of growth. And I feel like with Brandon Graham coming back to the Eagles, that helps that growth of those young guys. And I'll take it right back to the Sixers real quick. Two of Joel Embiid's best years were what? To me, eye test, when Jimmy Butler was there, when James Harden was there. Veteran leaders of a different elk, but also, veterans of the game that can kind of guide you and have been around and know what it takes to win in certain situations. When those guys were gone, what what do we have? Nothing. Anyway, um,
You know what? Like I always remember Mike Schmidt always telling a story about when the Phillies in the 70s, 76, 77, and 78, probably some of the best teams in Phillies sports history, but they can never get past the Cincinnati Reds or the Dodgers twice. And the key factor in them getting over the hump and winning the World Series in 1980 was at the time a man named Pete Rose. And I remember him saying that before Pete Rose got there, he said that he felt like he was the best player in the world 5 days a week. But when he came there, he said he felt like he was the best player 7 days a week. You know what I mean?
I
That's
felt like
that's
Pete
the
Rose
type.
was the best player 7 days a week.
Pete Rose believed that Mike Schmidt was the best player 7 days
Wow.
a week, and then Mike Schmidt started to believe that, and he played accordingly. Won the MVP in 1980, and won the World Series MVP in the World Series. So sometimes, like when people look at the '08 Phillies, who was really like the leader. People will say Chase Utley, but he was more the quiet leader, not really the vocal leader. Um,
Jimmy was that vocal leader.
Jimmy was the voice, right? Jimmy
Yeah.
Jimmy Rollins was the voice. And I'd even argue like Shane Victorino, but I think part of that was because of his ADHD. Um, But I think every team kind of needs that. Like you always wonder, like, well, how are these teams that have these superstars but they don't win? Like you could say that about not the Dodgers now, but the Dodgers in like in the late '90s, early 2000s, they were spending millions and millions of dollars getting the best players at every position, and they couldn't even make the playoffs for like 15 years. But it's like you got to have that, like you said, that veteran leadership sometimes to take the edge off of the pressures of being so good and just focus on like how to win. You know what I mean? Like when I talk to my players, and this fall was a rough fall. Like sometimes you have to, in order to learn how to win, you have to learn how to lose. And I thought that was going to be the case with the Sixers because they did a whole bunch of losing. But like you said too, when they were pretty much allowed to run the asylum and do whatever they want, like I don't see Embiid as a leader. I mean, I hope I want to be proved wrong. I say all these things because I want to be proved wrong. I want to see Embiid be the leader that he should have been already, in my opinion. And I'm hoping that between this year or next, but it's just not looking good because of the history. And I think that's why I'm so hard on the Sixers because it just seems like that organization has allowed, and it might be an NBA thing too, as far as like the players kind of running things versus the coach or the organization.
Um, well, I'm not too mad about that because I'm anti-establishment as it is anyway. So I'm kind of okay with that. Even though sometimes the players do stuff, I'm like, why the hell would you do that? Why would you want that? Why would you advocate for that? What are you doing? I'm just very anti-establishment. My wife would tell I'm anti-establishment.
I mean, I get. I'm not saying that to be. I'm not saying it in that regards. I'm just saying it's like there has to be a person that can get the best out of everyone on the team outside of the coach.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like you and I was
absolutely.
always said, like we can say, like I told my players, there was a couple of things that we practiced and they just would not do, and I'm like, I can't do it for you, and then I rely on my captains to be like, hey, listen, some things like it's a peer thing. It has nothing to do with leadership. It's like a peer thing. If they see their peers doing it, then they'll catch on. But it's like sometimes
We
if the
had
new Hmm?
we had that for a few years, and it made our jobs easier. Even though we didn't get the results we wanted, it made our jobs easier for a few years because once John Sharp was gone, the seeds he planted continued with Jaquez Maben.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And
man,
he kind of took that role, and then
missed it.
COVID messed everything up after
Yeah,
that.
yeah. COVID did mess everything up, and
It changed everything for in that
talk
situation.
about those two names, man. I talk about leaders. It's funny because they were leaders as they were learning the game because they weren't like astute about it. Like I remember when I had John Sharp on my JV team, and I just remember he was so lightning fast, but he didn't know how to use it. And I
Mm,
remember like trying to talk to him and let him know like you don't have to run, like eagles don't have to like fly like eagles all the time. Sometimes they will like float in the air and then pierce down. Like they use their speed when they need to. And I
mhm,
remember him asking me every day for like a month, like explain it to me again. And I'm like, and I'm teaching him how to like float to the ball instead of like dashing to it. You know what I mean?
mhm.
And by the second year, you saw the improvement. And then by the third year, then he wanted to do more. And only thing was he just couldn't hit for crap.
Yeah, it took him a while to get that. It took him a while, and I actually remember, and we'll move on to the next thing. Where at least we're talking about baseball. The I remember the moment John Sharp became a varsity player. The same way I remember the moment Jaquez Maben became a varsity player. I don't remember the kid's name, but you may remember the kid from Chester that was an unbelievable baseball player. I can't remember his name, but he was an unbelievable baseball player.
Manuel, it was like Cologne or something.
I
Did
believe that was the last name. I don't think that was the first name.
right, but he hit
But you
that
know who
home.
I'm talking about.
I know because he hit he hit a 400
So
foot bomb.
this
I
kid
remember.
hit a shot to
Hmm.
left field, and John Sharp was playing left field. And I guess whatever you taught him, he used it, but he had to jump to catch this ball. And he caught that ball. And the first thing, and Shallon was the coach at the time. And anytime that he was taking a JV guy from me when I was coaching JV and he was the head coach, and I was there, he would look at me and say, "Sorry, coach," and I knew that this guy was varsity now. And I don't think he turned to you and looked, but he did say, "Sorry, coach," when he made that play. And John Sharp was a varsity player from that point on.
Hmm.
I remember that just like I remember with Jaquez. Um, Hit us up. We see you watching. We appreciate your watching. Hit us up. Give us your thoughts. 669-275-0548. Or of course, you can hit us on our text line at 484-606-6061. Or you can hit us on our chat line right here on the show. And I'm gonna put this in right here. LBJ 3620 says Paul George is an old head now. You know what's funny, Miguel? So I was watching the game, right? And I still have the game on. Tyrese Maxey has 5 fouls. It's beginning of the fourth quarter. Um, I forgot Paul George was on the Sixers until they showed like who wasn't playing tonight. And he was on the top of that list. He had his knee surgery over the summer or whatever it was. I forgot doggone Paul George was even on the Sixers. Ain't that sad?
That is pretty sad. Didn't they make a big deal about him signing last year?
Oh yeah, it was a big deal. It was a huge deal. And then Embiid goes down, and Paul George goes down, and eventually Maxey went down, and the whole season went down. But they did pick up a good draft pick, VJ Edgecombe, who's out there. He's balling tonight, man. He's balling tonight. I like seeing the young fellas. I like seeing the young fellas do their thing. But we were talking about baseball. We are talking about baseball, and we got some. Actually, what I'm going to do is we have a message from a company. Uh-oh.
The sponsor?
There we go. I'm back. I lost connection for I got nervous. I
Here
lost
we
connection for a
go.
second. But here we go. Uh oh. Which one? Which one? Okay, I'm gonna just do this one.
It's a sad Cowboys fan play
He
set.
really won! It blames the ref! Wow, tiny
Each set comes with overflow soda, tissue box, and 28-year-old dreams. Still losing.
And it kind of hurts because they got the number one offense in the league right now, and that just kind of hurts to know that. But did they win this weekend? Who they play this weekend? Oh yeah, they won. Yeah,
They played the Commanders without all three of their starting receivers.
Oh really? Well, that hurts. Um, so it's been 32 years, Miguel. 32,
Yeah.
and I was enjoying every one of those. I didn't realize how much I enjoyed every one of those 32 years until a home run was hit in like the seventh or eighth inning in the ALCS game between the Blue Jays and the Mariners the other night. And you know the reason why, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to explain the reason why. For 32 years with the playoffs, with the MLB playoffs, 32 years ago, the Phillies lost the World Series due to a walk-off home run hit by Blue Jays Joe Carter. 32 years ago, I was What year was it? 32 years ago, because I can't do the math right real quick.
1993.
So I was 12. I was 12 years old, and let me tell you something. For you to lose a World Series like that, and you see as a 12-year-old, that's devastating. I always say I'm glad I fell asleep watching the game because I didn't see it happen because I probably would have cried my eyes out. I probably would have cried my eyes out. Um, so EJ says they forgot to include the kung fu grip on that toy figure so we can choke out Jerry Jones. I don't condone violence on this show, but I do condone comedy. That was funny. That was funny.
Absolutely.
That was funny. Um, so the home run the other night was hit in the Blue Jays game. I forgot who it was, but it was Stanton. Think it was no, not
Springer.
Springer. Thank you, Springer. And the Blue Jays, when they hit a home run, they put on this jacket or whatever. I don't know what they call it or whatever. And for whatever reason, the announcer decided that he needed to mention Joe Carter's name at that moment. And it wasn't even necessary. Okay. Yes, I know I feel some type of I'm biased, but it wasn't necessary. Okay. And here's what I mean by that. Springer hits this home run and it wasn't the ninth inning. Okay, but it was a game winning home run, but it wasn't the ninth inning. It wasn't walk off or anything like that. They showed a guy in the dugout wearing the jacket that they wear when they hit home runs, and he said, "Yeah, if this was 32 years ago, Joe Carter would have been wearing that jacket." Really? Like you really felt the need to say that? Like that was what was needed? I don't I don't
You know what? I hear what you're saying. However, I think for me, I was 13 at the time, so I remember it vividly. I remember that entire game. I remember the home run that Lenny Dykstra hit above the bullpen in right center field. I remember the point when we were going to lose the game because I remember Mitch Williams was pitching and there was a leadoff walk to Ricky Henderson, and that's when he started pitching from the stretch, which was the dumbest thing that he ever did. But I remember at the end swinging a bat into my mom's. She had this. It looked like a toy chest or a toy bench. You lift the lid and you can put stuff in it. And I remember swinging a bat and breaking one of the legs, but then like putting it back in a way so that way it didn't look broke. And I think she like opened it and it went pow like 2 weeks later. And I'm like, well, what happened? How did it? How did it happen? Playing dumb.
At least she
But
didn't fall.
right, at least it didn't fall. But I think to me, all was forgiven when the Phillies won in '08. For me,
So you know what? And I'm glad you said that because it's going to lead. It's actually remember you said that because it's going to lead to something a little later on in the show.
mm,
But yeah, in '08, probably like after '08, I wasn't. I can't say I was mad at Mitch Williams, but it was like, damn, Mitch Williams. Why?
but
After
see,
'08, it was like, okay, you're off the hook now.
and now I see what you're talking about now, and you know, I remember Mitch Williams getting the death threats afterwards,
Yeah, that was crazy.
and Kurt Schilling being that was the beginning of Kurt Schilling and his prickdom. Um,
Remind me
you
what
know,
Kurt Schilling did.
so game one of the NLCS against the Braves, he's pitching a great game. He comes out. Mitch Williams comes in, blows the save. He starts with the towel on his head.
Oh
And I
yeah.
think it happened again in his other start. He had the towel on his head. So that was like the running thing in that playoff. So, I mean, you kind of show up your pitcher when you do that, right?
Yeah.
And then in the off season, he was talking. Him and Lenny Dykstra got to talking to the media about like, he shouldn't be pitching there. He was gassed and da 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 da. And I remember there was a conflict where there was a pitcher, Roger Mason should have kept pitching because he had like pitched like 3 scoreless innings, and David West was a bit. There was all these things. There was all these things. But the one thing that I think the reason why Phillies fans always respected about Mitch Williams was if you look back at any post game presser or anything about that, Mitch Williams stayed there till the last question was asked. He sat there with a 12 pack, and I believe he drank 2 12 packs during the whole thing, and didn't wasn't yelling, wasn't screaming, wasn't mad at anybody. He said, "I blew the game. That was me." As someone had joked with him, they said, "Was that a slider that you threw Joe Carter?" He was like, "That was my fastball." So you know what I mean. So, but Phillies fans respect that, and I know Phillies fans get a bad rap. And this is the thing: when you own it, when you own the situation, we're going to support you for the rest of your career in Philly. It's when you start calling things out like a Nick Castellanos, and you start talking about our attitude and how it feels to be here versus away and stuff like that. That's when your career is over. Sorry.
In Philadelphia.
In Philadelphia.
We know everybody leaves Philadelphia and becomes better. But yeah, I mean, ask Alec Bohm. Alec Bohm had some things to say, and he owned it, and people loved him for the rest of that season. Now, talk about the end of last season. Things got a little bit different, and they were a little different this year. But you know, we did love him for a little while. Miguel, back your nostril up from the mic.
Sorry.
It was like it was playing like it was a music bed underneath.
I can't I can't tell because I don't have my earbuds or anything.
It's all good.
At least my
Speaking of former Phillies, I was wondering, Miguel, do you know of any former? I mean, I saw one the other night. Former Phillies in the World Series this year. How many are there?
Jeez, let me see. Last count.
Sure, I know. Was
6.
Jeff Hoffman was just with the Phillies last year.
Last year, Sir Anthony Dominguez, who started the season off in Baltimore. Spencer Turnbull.
Wait a minute. Who does Sir Anthony play for?
Blue Jays.
Didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, he
Spencer
was
Turnbull plays for who?
Blue Jays.
Whew.
And Lou Trevino is with the Dodgers. Luis Garcia, who was with the Phillies, geez, like 6 or 7 years ago. I think he's like 37, 38.
And he don't count.
He's playing for the World Series and not,
He won't
not
count
with
because he played for the Phillies when the Phillies were trash. So he don't
yeah.
count. That's like saying Odubel Herrera.
Oh, he's not even playing baseball no more. But yeah, so there's at least 6 or 7 players that are in the World Series between playing for either the Blue Jays or the Dodgers.
And that really doesn't even hurt me. You know
It
what
does.
hurt me? You know what hurt me? Watching Crawford play shortstop for the Mariners. And getting key hits.
But you know what though? No. I'm okay with that because we remember he got traded for Gene Segura, who got us key hits to get us into the World Series in 2022. So
No, I
that
get
was
that. I remember.
that's kind of an even that kind of at that time it worked. He didn't become the player that he is until the last couple of years.
But he is the reason that he's an example of a reason that people don't like trading prospects because you just never know how they're going to turn out. It was kind of thought that J.P. Crawford would probably make the major league roster, but it wasn't a depth. We didn't really know what the contribution would be.
Mhm.
And I kind of remember, and correct me if I'm wrong, please. I kind of remember at a time before, of course, the other Crawford was drafted by the Phillies, that they actually were thinking about transitioning him to the outfield before he ended up getting traded to Seattle.
They've done that with so they even remember when we had Tomei and they were like, "Hey, Ryan Howard, you're going to play left field for like 50 games," and it went horribly wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So they did that with Howard. They did that. I think Chase Utley at one point because they had Polanco. Um, yeah, so the Phillies will do that to try to get as many, you know,
Yeah.
try to fit a player in, but it doesn't work majority of the time.
I mean, I kind of, and I'm happy for JP Crawford, but I kind of start rooting against the guys after we trade them, and they were prospects. I kind of root against them because I don't want them to turn out to be something, and then we looking back and saying, "Damn, we should have kept that one." And now Gene Segura is retired, and JP Crawford just lost the NLCS or NLDS, ALCS, excuse me. Um, but when talking about former Phillies and in the World Series, who should be a former Philly by the time the next season starts? I think last week we said Castellanos is probably gone. They brought back Topper, so Castellanos is gone. Um, here's my list, and I didn't write it down, but here's what I would not mind seeing. I guess Casty gone. And Castellanos can sometimes come through with some of the clutchest hits too, man. He really
Mhm.
can sometimes. But he always swinging at that first pitch, and it's obvious. Anyway, Casty gone, Bohm gone, Stott not gone, but I think
If you're gonna
he's
get
not a
something,
shortstop.
if you're gonna get something of value in return, you got to give up that type of player, that borderline might be, could be,
Yeah. So that's he's a tradable piece.
right.
Um, you can't trade Trey, too much money involved there. And you're looking at getting prospects back probably if you do. Um, but I don't like Trey Turner at shortstop anymore. I think that project needs to end, and it needs to end soon. I wouldn't mind seeing getting a real first baseman, and nothing against Bryce. Bryce learned the position, played it well. I wouldn't mind getting a real first baseman in here and putting Bryce back in the outfield. Wouldn't mind seeing that. I don't know if his arm can hold up to it, but I wouldn't mind seeing it.
So there was brief talk of moving Schwarber to first base because that was actually, I still can't believe he started out as a catcher, and there's video of him throwing somebody out when he was with the Cubs as a catcher, which is pretty
Mm,
weird.
I didn't know that.
Um, but he has experience at first base, so I don't see
Well,
why
if he
that
can
could.
do it, if he can do it, bring him in to and let him do it, and bring in another somebody else to play DH. Whether it's Real Muto and you bring in a catcher, whatever the case may be. But with all that, don't believe I don't believe the Phillies will be in any better position once the season ends next year than they were this year if they're platooning the outfield. I really, I don't see it. I don't see like I feel like they're bringing I feel like they want to bring Bader back. Bader played very well in his short time
Mhm.
with the Phillies, but you, I think you got to bring Crawford up. You got to show up that outfield. You can't platoon that outfield. You just can't platoon that outfield.
Why
You can't
can't at least
base either.
why couldn't you just to get, at least to break in Justin Crawford because he's so young? You can do it the first year at
That
least.
that I see. I wouldn't even do it for the whole year. That's the thing. I don't think you can get away with it for the whole year.
Right.
Like maybe I platoon him to the All-Star break or something like that. But I need to see it. I need to see where I'm getting that production from. I got to get that production. And if we're not getting that production, then a move has to be made. But you I feel like you only see production from if you only see the production that you only see results that you want to see or that you're looking for. I'm saying this wrong. That's why I'm taking so long to say it. How do I need to say this? You will get results. Maybe I should start the music again. Results you are looking for, whatever results you're looking for, you may or may not get great results, but you're going to get a return if this player is playing on an everyday basis. That's kind of what I'm trying to get to. I just couldn't find a way to get to it. I think they need to play on an everyday basis for us to see. We know certain players are not everyday players. Sosa, as good as he is and as good as he is in the backup role and the platoon role and the utility role, was not a great everyday player. But we didn't get to see Max Kepler on an everyday basis. For a while, we didn't get to see Bader on an everyday basis. We saw Castellanos on an everyday basis, and it took till August to say, all right, he don't need to be out there on an everyday basis. It sometimes it takes too long to make that decision. Casty didn't like it. He spoke out against it, but still showed up in the playoffs when he needed to. But for you, Miguel, I know I took a whole long dissertation on that. Who stays and who goes for who are the former Eagle? Who are the former Phillies once the first pitch is thrown next season?
I know it's not popular to do these days.
Who you trading?
No, 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 no. I'm talking about signing the free agents. I would first sign Romuto. Um,
Okay.
there's a reason why he's one of the best catchers in baseball, not just because. And I think I read about a coach saying that he's probably the most prepared catcher he's ever seen. Um, and what a catcher has to do to prepare today between studying film on batter tendencies and remembering the pitch sequences that worked and didn't work. Um, I think that if he leaves right away, I think you're going to start to see our pitching staff decline until we can find something remotely close to that. I would probably overpay for him, maybe for like 2 or 3 more years, because 37 years old at the catching position today, is kind of a long shot. But I would at least
You
go
know
after
he's gonna
him.
use every day.
Yeah. But with all the equipment and with all the medical staff available, it's doable in my opinion. I think you give Merchant a few more times to give him some days of rest, DH, whatever. But he's the first person I think you gotta go after. I've been back and forth with this because of how he performed in the playoffs, but I think I would offer Schwarber a nice little 4 year, 5 year deal. Um, because if he's going to be our primary DH and or first baseman, whatever the case may be, doesn't take too much of a toll on the body. I think his bat is valuable. But I think there's just a better supporting cast that's needed. Ranger, I've been kind of up and down with this because of the second halves of his seasons. Um, I'm still 50-50 on letting him walk. But it's like, all right, if he leaves, then who do you put in his place? I know everybody's ready to get Painter up and pitching. I'll be honest with you. I think I would do the same thing they did with Mike Abel. I think I'll try to package him in a deal to get either another bat or package him along with Bohm and Stott, and get a couple of bats.
Okay.
So
Okay. I ain't mad at none of that. I would like to see Rangers stay. Just because, for one, like we were talking, we don't know Zach Wheeler. We just don't know with Zach Wheeler.
right.
Um, the unfortunate thing, and you were dead set against this from the beginning. Unfortunate thing is that they gave Nola all that money, so he's here. I don't see
Well,
anybody.
yes, he's here, but remember the deal was only for like 4 or 5 years, so it's not a long deal, so you can kind of work with it. And I know people say, oh, well, you can't trade Castellanos, but these deals where you can kind of split the salary and stuff like that. They can work something out for either one, in my opinion.
I don't think they want to make any moves with Nola. I feel like this organization is like in love with Aaron Nola. He's homegrown talent, not from Philadelphia, but people that understand baseball know what I mean. He was selected by this organization and has come up. He played his entire career with this organization. So I just feel like they want to keep him as long as he's somewhat productive. Um, but I guess with that being said, it's a time to go to our next sponsor with
Oh,
the.
yeah.
I didn't know if that was up there or not. I didn't know if that was what was up there.
It can be. Let me cue that up for you.
But while he's getting that ready, I'm looking at the Sixers game, and it's fourth quarter with 30 seconds left in the game, and the Celtics have the ball. They keep getting rebounds, but the Sixers have the ball, and they're up by two, 113 to 111, with 25.2 seconds left in the game. And coming back right after this, I'm going to give you my reaction, my early reaction of what I saw with the Sixers tonight in Boston. Stay locked right here, y'all. Yeah, stay locked. I keep messing up.
Introducing the Coach Chaos playset.
He looks so lost.
It's the aging head coach who can't find the playbook.
Don't worry, babe, I got it. Double slant, go.
And the young girlfriend who calls the shots.
Touchdown.
12 pieces of sideline chaos. It's the Coaching Crisis
He
playset.
used to run the league. Now he can't run his life.
Old school coach figure with real sideline scowl. And his influencer girlfriend who films everything. Press conference, panic table, tabloid, and ring light included.
All right. With that being said, Sixers reaction from me tonight. We know Miguel likes the Sixers when they are more tough, more mature, more going after it. I like the Sixers regardless. I was the guy that watched the whole. I watched every game of the process. I did. Crazy me. I watched people were clowning me for watching the Sixers. That's my team. I don't know. I have a weird love affair with the Sixers. Pause. Um, I'm watching tonight. I'm watching the game tonight, and it's still a close game. It's a 2-point game right now. So I'm keeping you guys posted on this. So y'all don't have to change the channel. Y'all can keep us on here. Um, early on in the season. So here's what I will say, and I told you this before the show. Last year, I stopped watching the Sixers because it was just very hard to enjoy watching the Sixers. I felt like every possession I was getting frustrated about something, and that was not enjoyable for me. So I kind of stopped watching the Sixers. And with that being said, I'm seeing some of the guys come off the bench for the Sixers, and we got a text that came in on the text line. I'll read that in a minute. I'm seeing guys come off the bench for the Sixers this year, and I'm like, who is that? Is this somebody that was on the team last year that was a holdover, or are these new people? I don't know who's on this team right now, except for the starters and a couple other guys. But my early analysis of the Sixers, being that I'm seeing a lot of new guys on the court, being that I'm seeing different people, the Sixers to me looked. And if anybody else is watching this show, that was watching Sixers game too, please give me your analysis too, as I continue to watch. They looked this word is going to be harsh because this is not the word I want to use. They look disorganized. Okay. And here's what I want to say. They look like the chemistry is not there yet. That's what they look like right now. The chemistry offensively and defensively is not there yet. Um, and what I heard, because I didn't watch any of the preseason games, but what I heard was the starters didn't play in the preseason games really until the last game. That's when they played some extended minutes, kind of like football, where your starters aren't playing any preseason minutes at all, and then they come into the season, and that's really their preseason. So while I'm watching right now, Tyrese Maxey just put them up by 4 with 22 seconds left. They are in Boston, playing against the Celtics. No Jason Tatum. Zingis is gone. Um, what was my man's name? The power forward that used to play for us too. Played for Florida back. Anyway, they got a lot of guys that's gone. But I'm seeing a very young team, and it's funny. I'm seeing a very young team in Joel Embiid. Right? It's kind of funny to say that because you always think of Joel Embiid as being young, and he's probably in the prime of his life. But he's an elder statesman on this Sixers team now, like I said earlier. And I'm hoping they do well. They have a good opportunity to do well because injuries and other teams that are going to be season long injuries. They have a good opportunity to really make some noise if they can get these young guys really going and get that engine going, and they might even make you interested again, Miguel. They might. I'm not making any claims. They might make you interested again. But that brings me to this. The Sixers have not been out of the second round of the playoffs since 2001. Okay. And as we have mentioned on this show before, the Sixers their throwback uniforms are the uniforms from that team of 2001. The Allen Iverson, Eric Snow, Tyrone Hill, Dikembe Mutombo, Theo Radcliffe, that team. And I hate to say it, I'm going to go ahead and say it. Spike Eskin planted this in my head, and I'm kind of mad that it got planted in my head because I didn't see it this way until he said it, and I hated it when he said it. But I said I'm going to bring it up on the show. Why do we celebrate losing teams in Philadelphia? Like, we fall in love with these teams that don't bring it home, right? So, excuse me. Talking about the 93 Phillies earlier, right? They didn't win it. They lost by a walk-off home run. But everybody loved that team. That was an exciting time. It was an exciting summer. It was fun to watch. But they didn't win. They didn't bring it home. But we will honor them year after year up until 2008. Now there haven't really been a mention of that 93 team since 2008, since the team has won it. Right? The Eagles. You think about the Eagles. You think about the Buddy Ryan defense. They actually, not think about it, they really didn't get their just due. But the Brian Dawkins, Jeremiah Trotter, Donovan McNabb teams, the early Andy Reid teams, the one that lost Super Bowl to the New England Patriots, they kind of get honored. They still get talked about up until the Eagles won the Super Bowl in 2017. This Sixers team won one game in the finals. They won one game. Now, let's put some perspective on it. Most people thought they were going to get swept. That Lakers team was unreal. They swept the playoffs. They swept the whole Western playoffs that season, and lost the first game to the Sixers in LA. Why are we love that team? We love what that team bought. That team was Philly. But why are we celebrating this team 20 years later that didn't win? Why are we doing that?
Well, at least for the Sixers, I think it's because it's the only winning team in that time frame. So it's like
business move for them.
Hmm.
It's a good business move for them. Absolutely. I like that. That's a good point by you. Um, but I'm just thinking about it like, wow, the Sixers really haven't won anything since they won nothing. Right? What was their championship was 82, 83?
83 against the
82.
Lakers.
I wasn't even two yet. I was because the championship is in June, so I was born in July. I wasn't two yet. I was still 11 months old. Or no, I was 23 months old. However they whatever they how old is it? 15 months? Oh, so they like a year and okay. I was 23 months old at the time. So I didn't get to enjoy that. But I feel like that team doesn't get honored.
Mm.
I feel like we don't see that team get honored. Why isn't that team loved for winning a championship the way the '01 team is loved for not winning a championship?
I think when it comes to the Sixers, it was I think it really had to do with the style of basketball. Like Iverson came in, when he first broke into the NBA, he crossed over Jordan. That was like a big thing. So it was like the style was starting to change, and he kind of echoed that style of game, even though like they were trying to kind of stop him from being that way. But you know, then they started instituting rules about dress and attire and conduct and all that stuff. But I think that's what it really had to do. Like the Sixers in '83, not that they were straight laced, but it's just different eras. I think. You know,
I think part of the love of that Sixers team in '83 was the fact that they had to get over that hump of the Celtics. They had to get over that hump of the Lakers,
hmm,
who were both great teams at the time. The Sixers didn't really the Sixers of '01 didn't really have that hump. The only hump was the Lakers.
well, remember they went to the final and deciding game in every series. They went
Yes,
full
they did.
five first round. They went 7-7, so they were also very tired.
And let me correct myself. They did have a hump to get over. It
Hmm.
was the Indiana Pacers. They had to
Yeah,
get over
they-
that hump. They lost the
yeah,
Indiana Pacers. I wanted to say twice leading to that
yeah,
season. But the Indiana Pacers they went to the finals one time
right,
in that era, and it
right.
was the year before the Sixers went.
So I think they beat the Pacers. Then they played the
The Raptors.
no, the Raptors were in the conference finals, but they played. I think it was
No,
Milwaukee.
you got it flipped.
Do I have it flipped?
Yeah, it was the
Because
Raptors and Milwaukee.
didn't it, when Vince Carter missed that final shot in the game 7 that in Philly, that
Mhm.
wasn't for the that wasn't the conference championship. Okay,
No, that was the second round,
got it.
and um, I'll put it in perspective for you. Most college graduations are on Mother's Day. He went to his college graduation that
That's
day,
right.
and they
And
made a big deal out of it.
they
Even
made
right
that
before that shot, they made a big deal out of it.
they gave him hell for that for a
He flew
long
up from his
time.
college graduation. Um, and quick update: the Sixers win by 1 point, 117-116. Great, great, great finish for them. Way to finish out the game because it was a back and forth game. Really, they kind of took the lead early, and then Boston came back and took a lead. Um, Sixers led at the half. Boston came back in the third quarter, and they took a nice little lead, and the the Sixers finished the game out and didn't foul on the last play. Good job, good job. But yeah, so now the Sixers are 1-0, and they're on pace to win 82 games this season. Shout out to them. They're on pace to go 82-0. Um, we're going to move on because there's some video. I forgot we do videos. Forgot we do videos. So you got this video queued up, ready for me to go. I know you've been chomping at the bit. Like, all right, play this video. What we got?
Let's see. So put it on the screen. You tell me what you think is about to happen.
Are you ready to hit pause?
It's already paused.
Okay.
All right. So we have a obviously a person in a Dak Prescott jersey wearing capris. So there's already a couple problems going on. But other than that, what do you think is going to happen?
So so let me do this so I'm not echoing. You said he's got a Dak Prescott jersey. Is he running around or is he on a skateboard or something?
No, no, he's not running. That's just the logo. But yeah, he's good. He's in the running position.
I say he loses his balance and just falls flat on his face.
All right, let's see what happens.
I know I'm wrong because it's just not enough for me there. I want to say, you know what I want to say? I want to say a dog comes out of nowhere and just hits him low and he flips over. But that's what
That's
I
a
want
good.
to say. But I don't
Right.
see that happening either.
All right.
But here we go. Ooh, ooh.
See, and you better not cry either. Say, Swoliante Notman, Southern Illinois University, okay, Salukis.
Let me let me go to hold on. We had some stuff coming on the text line that I didn't get to. Let me get to that real quick. Because I did say I was going to get to that. So let me go ahead to the text line real quick. Give me one moment. I'm sorry. If you have another video, you can go ahead and get that queued up.
Yeah, I
While
got it.
together. All right, you wasn't supposed to go that fast. I can't find it. I can't find. I think they. Oh, here it is. Okay, but they changed the way it looked. All right, so here we go. Um, so we have this question here that came in actually earlier today, around 2 o'clock this afternoon. Said, "Do the Eagles have enough to win in the playoffs as the team stands?" That's from Deacon Marlin. Um, do they have enough to win in the playoffs the way the team stands right now? I believe so. I believe so because it feels like right now things are very even around the league. There's really no standout team right now. So I feel like they do have enough to win, but I also feel like everybody has enough to win right now. It really kind of it's really I think any given Sunday with these top teams, with the Bills, with the Eagles, with the Lions. I think it's any given Sunday. Miguel, look like you was about to chime in on that.
I mean, to be 5-2 and to still not technically have it all together, to me is very promising. So once they start clicking on all cylinders, just like last year, I think they make a run.
Another one came in and said that what are our thoughts on the Ravens making a comeback this season or even winning the division?
Uh, Slim and none.
Slim and none.
Well, because the issue with the Ravens, I mean, you already have a couple games, and there's no telling if Lamar Jackson will be back. You lost your your star safety, your star cornerback, your star linebacker, and your defensive lineman may have a career-threatening neck injury. It's just not looking good from an injury standpoint. You know, from a talent standpoint, they're stacked, but this is obviously not the same Ravens team as they were last year. So I think you just and I don't know that you can put it on. You can't put injuries on a coach. You know what I mean? But he may be the casualty at the end of the year. Harbaugh may be the casualty at the end of the year.
Could be, and he's been around for a long time. And a lot of time when guys are around a long time, and you have a season like this where it really comes down to a lot of injuries, they will say well, it's time for us to move on because it's almost easier to do it at that point than to give them another year to see if they can turn things around. Um,
Mhm.
here's what I'll say, Miguel, because you're closer to the Ravens situation than I am, extremely closer. But here's what I will say: in 2017, a team with a whole lot of injuries ended up winning the Super Bowl. The
Right.
difference is the quarterback got injured late in the season, whereas the Ravens this year, the quarterback got injured early in the season. Is it possible for them to turn the season around? Absolutely, absolutely. Is it likely? It's it's not very likely. And the Ravens are probably like one of my. They're definitely one of my favorite AFC teams. Um, but yeah, I think it might be time for the Ravens to pack it in. Because here's the thing, like you're close. I don't even know what the injury to Lamar is. I know it's like something with his leg or his hamstrings, but I don't.
It's a hamstring injury.
Okay, and those are funny. Those are funny.
Yeah, especially
I had
for a
a
quarterback that runs as often as he does, it's
Right.
very tricky.
I had a hamstring injury, and I tried to play through it in college. Um, real quick story. I don't remember what happened. I was running the first base. I hit the ball or something. I was running the first base, and I kind of slipped out of the box, kind of like Ryan Howard did in his last at
Mhm.
bat, and boom, I just felt. No, I'm sorry. That was when I re-injured it. No, I was running the first base in another game, and I just felt it. I felt my hamstring just whatever happened, a pull or whatever. But I didn't say nothing. Right at the time, I didn't say anything. Um, Coach saw it, ended up taking me out. I was rehabbing it, um, and I wasn't supposed to go back. I was not cleared, but we had an away game. I get back on the field. I was playing catcher with a pulled hamstring, and in this game, I run the first base and I slip out the box, and I re-injured the hamstring. And I had to ride back on the bus with an injured. Oh, that was the worst ride. Riding back, I don't. We were at Dell State, so it wasn't that far, but it was an hour and a half ride with a pulled hamstring. Oh, it was the worst. It was the
Mm,
worst, man. Because you were on a shuttle bus too, so it was the worst.
mm,
Anyway, I say that to say, um, hamstrings are very delicate injury,
mm,
and the hamstring gets used for everything. So honestly, like at this point, if there's any question, any doubt in Lamar, I would not play him because that is your franchise in Baltimore. That is your franchise. So I would not play him if there's any doubt because you could really set him back. And I just think of like RG3 and the
mm,
promise
mm.
that he had as a rookie. And then, the injury came and they brought him back too early and it really ruined his career. I wouldn't want to see that happen to Lamar. But thank you for your texts and for your comments and stuff like that. I hope you stuck around long enough to hear the answer. It looks like you got another video ready for us.
Yeah, the caption says it all. Got knocked out and never fell.
Ooh, let's see.
Hell no, your ass done. Fight's over. Medic, let me get that medic. Relax. You got your ass knocked out, buddy.
So 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 okay. Like he was knocked out, right?
Hmm.
And as a referee, you have to protect you're obligated to protect that person. But yeah, I guess yeah, you can call it a fight with somebody who's still on their feet. But it's just like maybe I'm too barbaric. I'm like, I feel like you have to fall. Like in boxing, yeah, you get because it was one. You know why? Because it was one hit. Like in boxing, you usually if you're on your feet and they stop, you're getting pummeled, right? You
Hmm.
can't protect yourself. And this guy obviously couldn't protect himself.
Hmm.
But the referee didn't even give him an opportunity to not protect himself, right?
Hmm.
I've seen fight. I've watched a lot of fights in my day. I watched old fights that I wasn't around for. I like fights. I've seen a fight where guy gets punched and he's out on his feet and he gets punched again and it brings him back. Like I've seen that happen.
Mhm.
I feel like this dude didn't even have an opportunity to get brought back by another punch. The referee was just like, nah, bruh.
But the fact that he stood,
Yeah,
his
he stood
body
there like
was
he was
frozen
chilling.
so tight.
He was chilling, like
Mhm.
he was just chilling. You have one more for us?
Yeah, last one.
Because you're going to be stumping me today, right?
Yeah. So I'll let you guess what's happening in this one.
Okay,
Okay,
so
so
oh, well, let me take this out because I don't want to hear myself talk. Let me ask you
Mhm.
because he's obviously in a gym.
Right.
Can I just ask you? I don't want to ask you. Is he going to attempt to jump on them blocks?
No.
Okay, so let me go back and look at it.
All right, here we go. So yeah, it wasn't him. It was another dude out of nowhere.
Yeah, yeah.
This kind of goes into my thing about like not all. I call these gym tricks because I like some training things I just don't understand. I just don't get.
So I understand. Like I forgot what they're called. What they call plyo boxes or whatever.
Yeah, I
I
get
understand the
those.
workout of it, but I feel like
Right.
if you have to run and jump, I kind that to me that kind of negates the workout. You are getting the leg workout on the jump part, but I feel like if you're not doing it from like just a one step and jump or doing it from a just jumping off the vertical, you're not getting the same workout.
I don't understand what the point of putting it to the point where it's like a foot above your head.
Well, some people can do it. Now there was the guy he played for the Eagles a while back. I want to say it might have been during the Chip Kelly era, or maybe just before the Chip Kelly era. He was a safety. I want to say his name was like Jaquan Jarrett or something. He would have videos of he was able to do those jumps.
Right. And do you know what Jaquan Jarrett is famous for?
Used to being the Eagle.
Correct.
But I'm just saying, but that's the guy that's in this video is only famous for busting his ass off them blocks. And we
Stupid.
don't even know who that guy is. But
Right.
Jaquan Jarrett, who was a world class athlete, he was able to do it. This guy, I don't know if he was a world class athlete or not, but he wasn't able to run and jump and do it. But with that being said, Miguel is stumping me today. Oh my God. Why is this person played for so many freaking teams?
So he's one of those players that for some reason had multiple jerseys for multiple teams. So I'll be glad to break it down for you.
I'm looking at the Phillies. I'm looking at the Padres. I'm looking at the Rays.
No.
Okay, I always think that's the Rays, and it never is. Is it the Cubs?
Blue Jays.
Okay, so I'm looking at the Phillies, the Padres, the
No.
Blue Jays. Huh?
It's not the Padres.
Oh, why you ain't tell me that the first time?
I was trying to get to that.
Oh, okay. So
Astros.
I'm looking at the Phillies, the Astros, and this is the order, right? The order in
Yes.
which. So I'm
Yeah.
looking at the Phillies, the Astros, the Blue Jays, the Mariners,
Yep.
the Pirates,
Hmm.
the Blue Jays again,
Yes. Sure.
Yankees,
Hmm.
um, Washington,
Twins and Saint Minnesota Twins and St. Louis Cardinals.
And this is the order.
Yes.
Minnesota Twins. St. Louis. Is this person still playing?
No.
Are you able to give me a position without ruining it?
Pitcher.
Damn it. I had a feeling. And it's a relief pitcher too, ain't it?
Mm,
Or maybe a closer. Somebody is it a bull? Is it somebody coming out of the bullpen or is it a starter? Little bit
yes.
of, okay. Son of a-
I mean, yes to everything but closer.
Okay, so they were not a closer,
Correct.
but they pitched for and they were an all-star one time. What year were they an all-star? Do you have that information?
I'll get that.
'Cause I want to know if they were all-star with the Phillies. That will help me narrow it down. But they went Phillies, Astros, Blue Jays, Mariners. Phillies, Astros, Blue Jays, Mariners, and Pirates. Who the hell? Oh man, I'm trying to think of some of the Phillies, some of the pitchers from the 08 World Series coming out of the bullpen. Yeah, Mark Madsen, who we already had. He played for the 40s. JC Romero. I have no idea what happened to JC Romero, but I feel like he played for somebody else. Yeah, there's no way I was gonna get it by the end of that music. I feel like JC Romero played. Did JC Romero play for somebody else before he played for the Phillies?
Yes, he played for the Twins.
Okay, so it's not JC Romero.
And the All Star is with the Blue Jays.
Of course. Like a piece of me wants to say Drebeck, but Drebeck never really he wasn't on the World Series roster with the Phillies.
Nope.
Who were the pitchers? Okay, I'm thinking some of the pitchers. So the starters we had Blanton, um, um, no, we had Blanton, we had Hamels, we had Brett Myers. I always forget who that other starter was with that team. Blanton, Myers, Hamels. But it's not any of them because I don't think Brett Myers played for that many teams. Did Brett Myers play for any other teams but the Phillies?
I believe he played for Cleveland. Let me double check. He played for Houston. That's what Houston, Chicago, White Sox, and Cleveland.
So you got doggone, you got me on this one. I can't even think of some of the pitchers that were on that team. Mark Madsen. No,
Ryan
because he
Madson.
played for Ryan Madsen. Thank you, Ryan Madsen. Um,
All right,
what's the
one more
name of
guess.
the closer? Huh?
One more guess.
Damn. Remind me of the closer's name on that team. That's going to bother me if I don't.
Brad Lidge.
Brad Lidge. Okay, Brad Lidge. Um, Madsen was the setup guy. What's that team after the Phillies?
Astros.
Astros. No, Worley wasn't. No, I don't think Worley won World
Ooh,
Series.
good name, Vance Worley. I forgot about him.
Yeah, he went to the Twins after the Phillies. You got me on this one, man.
All right.
Who was it?
J.A. Happ.
Wow. There was no way. Like he wasn't even in my Rolodex. Wow.
So it's a little bit of a trick because he only pitched in relief for like 4 games, but he
Oh,
was still technically on the roster.
you dirty for that one.
He had 4 starts. He pitched 8 games. 4 of them were starts, but he still got a ring.
You're dirty for that one, but that was clever. That was clever. That was even more clever than your special teamer.
There you go. And I do remember one of the scariest things that ever happened to him was when he got hit in the face. Um, I think it was in Pittsburgh. He was on the Blue Jays at the time, but he got hit. He got hit square on the forehead,
Oh, good.
and managed to survive it. I think he wasn't out terribly long, but it didn't derail his career like some. But
Was it on this show that we had the video of the guy that got hit in the head, and they asked him about it after the game, and he said, "No, it's fine. I had my hat on."
I
Was that
mean,
this,
yeah, I think so.
or is that something we just shared with each other?
No, I think we shared it with each other, but it was still kind of funny.
He was like, "Yeah, I had my hat on." I was like, "Well, hat's not for protection. Well, why do we wear it?" So that was weird coming from a professional baseball player. I tell you that. Well, all right. Look, hey, we appreciate y'all hanging with us, man. Miguel didn't stump me. I think I was with 2 in a row, 3 in a row. I got 2 in a row,
Hmm.
and he's back on in the win column.
Dun
He's back
dun
in the win column.
dun.
Well, look, we're gonna get up out of here. We appreciate y'all hanging with us here on the Check Swing Podcast, part of the New Twist Radio Network. Make sure you go ahead and follow us or subscribe to us on the on our YouTube channel, the New Twist Radio YouTube channel. That's where you can find all of our shows, and you can find all the 10-7 shows, where you can also see Miguel participating in the 10-7 show. So Miguel's all over New Twist Radio. But with that being said, for myself and for my man Miguel, who's in
Baltimore, having big fun.
we gonna get up out of here. We appreciate y'all hanging with us here on the Check Swing Podcast. We will talk to y'all next week when the Sixers are like 4-0 because they're on pace to win 82 games. Stay with us, y'all. We out.
Until we meet again.